Welcome to Miyconst Hardware. Today I have finally got a chance to open this big box that I have received from my Italian partner Mir Computers or Gabriele, and here I have lots of interesting hardware for many different videos. That's why I decided to make this little unboxing video to show you what I have got inside and make some sort of a teaser of what you can expect on my channel. Here I have my beloved little knife and I'm gonna use it to open the box. So the first thing is this simple AMD RX 6400. I need this one because it's a low-profile graphics card and I'm going to use it in a low-profile small form factor build. Then what I have here, okay, so this one is Huananzhi X99-QD4. We'll take a look at that one as well. And one more is another X99 motherboard. This one is from Jginyue H610i-Gaming, and as far as I remember, this one supports DDR3 memory. I will take a look at that one as well. One more motherboard, and this one is also from Jginyue H610i-Gaming. This is A07 Mini ITX motherboard, so let's hope this one will not be as big of a disaster as the Mini ITX X99 motherboard from Jginyue. And let's keep moving. What is this? I don't know what is this. Okay, I will have to take a look at that one a bit later. Let's see what we have next. Okay, so this is Mini ITX aluminum chassis from AliExpress, which has sandwich design. I will take a look at that one as well. And here, what do I have here? I think it's just a bunch of filling. No, actually I have something in here. Or these are just nothing fancy, just regular SSD drives that I use for my PC builds. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. It's only me who is this crazy to buy a power supply from AliExpress, I know, but I needed a special form factor power supply. So here is the power supply. You can see it is a very weird form factor. It is like 1U power supply for servers, but this one is designed to be used in desktop computers with that sandwich-like chassis. So here we have cables. This is actually a modular power supply. And the power supply itself. So look how tiny this thing is. It's just like really tiny, and I'm afraid that this fan might be a bit too noisy, but you never know, we will see. Immediately what I can see here is that the power socket, or the socket for the power cable, is not perfectly straight, so maybe some quality issues, I don't know, we'll see later. And let me check what we have on the labels. So the most important is the yellow cable plus 12 volts. It supports up to 45 amperes for total up to 540 watts. If that's true, that's insane, because this tiny brick is promising to provide about 600 watts of total power, but rated power is 550 watts. So 600 watt is a model name is TF600, but rated power output is 550 watts. And the plus 12 volts rail is providing 540 watts. So if that's true, then I just don't know how Chinese are making it. I think I will try to open it and take a look what we have inside. But first, let's take a look at the cables. And of course we have the 24 pin for the motherboard connector, and this one is the small one that connects to the power supply itself, like this. Then this one is 8-pin plus 8-pin for the GPU power connector. This is actually surprising because I believed that in the AliExpress page, or at least I remember that it was specified that it was only one 8-pin power connector, but actually I have got two daisy chained ones, and this one gets clicked in here. Then what else do we have here? So the CPU power comes like this to the power supply. It's only 4-pin, and then it goes 4-pin plus 4-pin, and it clicks into the white socket over there. And then finally we also have some SATA and Molex connectors. Probably if you're assembling a mini ITX computer, you will use an M.2 SSD drive, so you will not need these, and that's very nice, so you can unplug it. But still, if you need, you have 2 SATA and 2 Molex connectors, and it also clicks in over here. So my first impression is very positive. I don't know if this power supply is gonna work well or if it's not gonna work well. I will try to disassemble it and take a look at what components we have inside, but for now my initial impression about this power supply is extremely positive. And since I have started with the power supply, let's continue with this chassis that is supposed to contain that power supply. And the chassis came to me with a PCI Express riser, and this PCI Express riser apparently is not part of the chassis, so you're supposed to buy it separately, but I bought the bundle, so a Chinese added it like externally. At least I don't see any damaged pins, and this one also seems to be pretty okay. Like, this side is supposed to go into the motherboard, and it's also protected with a plastic protection cap, and all the pins seems to be intact, so nothing to complain about. I will have to check how good it works, but so far I don't have much to complain. On this side we can see some fleas after soldering or desoldering, I don't know, but maybe it's supposed to be like that, maybe it's not supposed to be like that, we'll have to check. So the chassis itself, let me see. Yeah, the box is not open yet, so I need to open it, and then we will see what we have inside. For this chassis I will have to figure out what kind of GPU I can install, because it is extremely restricted with space, and I believe it has maximum 15 centimeters in length. The graphics card can be installed in here, so it's like really tiny. And it's also really lightweight. Right, I even forgot that I bought the black one. These ones are available in black, silver and red. And of course I picked the black one because I think it looks the best in black. So here it is, and here is supposed to be that tiny power supply. The chassis itself has only one USB port over here, and the power button, which seems to be a bit cheap but shall be just fine. And the graphics card over here, you can see it can be dual slot, but the length of the graphics card is extremely restricted. So one of my ideas is to use my AMD R9 Nano that I have, but the R9 Nano is rather weak for modern games, so I'm not sure. If the Jginyue H610 Mini ITX motherboard is good enough, I'm thinking to install it here, and in that case I need to find some more powerful graphics card, maybe something like RTX 3060 and at least GTX 1660. Those OEM graphics cards, they are pretty short and should fit inside here, but we will see. For now, about the chassis, what I can say is that even though it's very lightweight and the metal seems to be rather thin, it doesn't feel like cheap crap. It actually feels like a solid piece of work, and the paint is okay. So, well, I will just have to use it and see how it works in a tiniest gaming build or tiniest video editing rig. RTX 2060 with the 12 gigs of video memory would be awesome for video editing as well. For now, I put it down. Let's take a look at this Jginyue H610 Mini ITX motherboard. Let's see. Okay, so we open it this way. The box is extremely similar to that X99 Mini ITX motherboard. Here we have protection cardboard, the warranty card, which is of course not filled up, and I believe it is pretty much useless anywhere outside of China. So we have a SATA cable, the I/O shield of course, then we have some extra washers. I have no clue why Chinese, or in specific the Jginyue manufacturer, why they started to add these washers, but they just do. Okay, and the motherboard itself and the protective foam, we don't have anything, so I didn't miss anything. Let me take out the motherboard. Okay, here we have some sort of a warranty sticker. So, and this sticker is extremely annoying. I cannot unstick them, I need to cut them, and I guess Chinese are making it on purpose. So when some fishy buyers that are buying goods and then sending it back are trying to seal it back, they can't do it. So what do we have here? The typical layout for a Mini ITX motherboard, but not very typical for Chinese because it feels rather solid. Here I can also complain that the battery is just these two wires. They just cut off the battery because Chinese post does not allow shipping of the batteries. On the rear side we can see that here we have HDMI DisplayPort and DisplayPort, so 3 video outputs, which is good. 2 USB 2, 2 USB 3, then 1 extra USB. This one is white, maybe this one supports BIOS flashback, I don't know, but it is white. The Ethernet port, according to specification, I think it's 2.5 gigabit, not 1 gigabit, and we also have a Wi-Fi on board, I believe. This one is, so the Wi-Fi module over here is loose. I will have to tighten it up, and the battery was supposed to be glued over here, but they just teared it off. Everything else is pretty standard on the motherboard. We have M.2 slot, we have some sort of a VRM, we have 4-pin fan headers, and here we have the I/O for USB and the front panel audio. On the back side we do not have any M.2 slots, so it's only this one, and here SSD is spanning on top of this radiator. So if you have those thick SSDs with the memory chips on both sides, it will not fit inside here, but in general it shall be just fine. So the next one is also from Jginyue, and this one is X99M+. I have many people asking about this motherboard, and in particular because it's supposed to have better VRM and DDR3 support, so supposed to be good option for E5-2666v3. Here is the cooler mounting bracket with the screws loose in here. I don't like that because if the box is shaken, the screws will fall out. We also have a SATA cable, the I/O shield as usual, and again washers. I don't know why we need them. And again the warranty card. This one is also useless outside of China. And the motherboard itself, let's see, nothing under the plastic foam. So this motherboard does not have the warranty seal, so apparently Chinese are not that much worried about these X99 boards compared to the expensive LJ1700 boards. And here how the motherboard looks like, and indeed I have to say that it immediately feels better than the most cheap Chinese motherboards I had. And we can see that yes, we have here 4 DDR3 memory slots, and the VRAM straight away looks beefier than on other Chinese motherboards. I don't know what is under this heatsink, but we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it might be an 8-phase VRM design. Of course, it also depends on what components are used inside there. And the Jginyue motherboards are known to have extremely bad BIOS, so I have hopes that this motherboard is going to work with the Huananzhi X99M BIOS, and in that case it might be a viable option. Also, we had this Machinist X99 G7 motherboard where the first PCI Express X1 slot doesn't work. This one has extremely similar layout, so I hope both of these work. In terms of M.2 slots, we have one M.2 here, one M.2 here, and this one is titled for SATA M.2 SSDs, this one is titled for NVMe SSDs, and underneath we have here one for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth expansion cards. I would prefer to have this one separate, not combined with the NVMe M.2 slot, but it's better to have it than don't have it. Since the motherboard has only two USB 3.0 and the rest are USB 2.0, I assume that this is a desktop chipset like B85, so no overclocking is possible, but with the DDR3 we do not have any X99 CPUs that would support overclocking, so it's not that big of a deal. And the last package to take a look is this Huananzhi X99-QD4. I should have reviewed this motherboard long time ago, but I didn't have capacity, and finally it has arrived to me, so maybe I will be able to verify some claims from people online. And we also have the SATA cable, the I/O shield. We have screws this time, so Huananzhi understands that we need screws to mount the motherboard, the washers. And here we can see how bad the motherboard is placed inside the box. So there is no plastic form, nothing. The motherboard is just wobbling inside the box. It is pretty bad and very untypical for Huananzhi. Here is the 3 years warranty card, which I also believe is useless outside of China. So we can see that the motherboard being flying inside the box, and we have marks on this anti-static bag. I don't like that, but sometimes Chinese are chipping out on the packaging, and that's expected. So the motherboard, here it goes. This one is black and blue. Some like how it looks, some don't like how it looks. I think it looks okay, so no much complaints. And I bought it with the CPU, it's C52666V3. So Chinese not only installed the CPU inside the motherboard, but they have also put here a warranty sticker. So if I open the CPU socket, I will lose the warranty. I don't really care about it. Still, I don't like when they're doing it this way, because when people are buying a combo of a motherboard and CPU and then something doesn't work, they can't open the socket and replace the CPU for troubleshooting, because then the seller can say, okay, you have destroyed the warranty sticker, the warranty doesn't apply anymore, you can't return the motherboard and you can't return the CPU. This is pretty fishy, but it also helps them to protect themselves from those fishy buyers who sometimes just buy a set, then swap a working CPU with a non-working CPU and send it back. So about the motherboard itself, this one is DDR4, so we have quad-channel DDR4, we have two M.2 slots. Unfortunately, we don't have the M.2 slot for Wi-Fi expansion cards. We have PCI Express X4 over here, but I believe this one is connected to the chipset. I might be wrong, but I think it's connected to the chipset. And we have PCI Express X1. This one is definitely connected to the chipset. We have 3 SATA ports. I believe it's only 4 of them that's SATA 3 and 2 of them that are SATA 2, so we still have the desktop chipset. We have only 2 USB 3 ports, so the rest are USB 2 ports, so it's again B85 or similar chipset. In terms of a VRAM, the VRAM is also supposed to be better than the standard Machinist X99 RS9, but we still have only 3 phases with doublers, or we have here 6 phases. I don't know yet. Need to remove the radiator and take a look. I have seen multiple claims online that people say that QD4 has exactly the same VRAM as X99TF or X99F8, and that's not true. They might be using the same transistors or the same MOSFETs, but the number of those transistors and the number of MOSFETs on QD4 is not the same as with X99TF or X99F8. So no, these VRAMs are not identical. This one is still significantly weaker, but might be good enough for E52666V3. Okay, so here are all the items I have got in this big box, and with my current pace where I'm making maximum 1 video per week, I think it will be enough for me for about a month, maybe even 2 months. But if you have any preferences, what you would like me to review first, or you have some comments, then feel free to leave me a comment for this video or just join my Discord and send me a message there. I'm usually available there, and I usually answer all direct messages, and I also react to the direct at me when you are asking some questions in the different threads, so feel free to do that. For now, I'm thinking to start my reviews with this Jginyue H610 Mini ITX motherboard, and if it's gonna be any good, I'm thinking to install it in this tiniest chassis and see how that goes. Also, it means that the power supply must be good, because without power supply, this chassis will be useless for me. If some of you is interested to see how this RX 6400 is going to perform in an old HP corporate machine of a small form factor with i7 4770 or Xeon E3 1230v3, then again, leave me a comment, because for now my plan is to just install the graphics card, play around with the machine and get it sold. Still, if you're interested and you think that it might be a useful video, then feel free to leave me a comment and I will reconsider my decision. For now though, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, see you in the other ones, bye bye.